Yes, Niti, we can start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone, and I welcome myself, Neeti, who's working in the Safeboards team. Welcomes you all in this enlightening session for better indoor air quality and by certifying composite wood products. And we have an elite set of panelists over here who are also fortunately associated in some way in the standards development of safe boards. Uh, this is actually our endeavor to have as many panelists and as many stakeholders from various categories to give their inputs, technical inputs, and their sector-wise inputs in the development of the standard. So I would again welcome you all. We apologize for a bit delay because of technical issues that we were facing with the panelists, either voice or webcam. So now we can begin the webinar with with due permission from our chairperson, Standard Development Group, Goel sir. Goel sir, I mean, most of us already know Goel sir. He has been involved in all the meetings and webinars, and our honorable Director General NCCF, Shivasta sir, is also here to grace the event. Goel sir, may I please request you to start the event and also welcome and introduce the panelists? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Niti. Very good evening. On behalf of the Network for Certification and Conservation of Forest, I would like to extend warm welcome to all the panelists and participants of this second webinar on Safeboard Standards Composite Wood Products Certification for Better Indoor Air Quality. This webinar is being jointly organized by the NCCF with Haryana Plywood Manufacturers Association as part of the Safewood Standards Development Scheme, for creating awareness among new participants and also for providing update on the progress achieved so far in this regard and inviting their suggestions. First of all, let me have a privilege of introducing you our esteemed panelists for today's webinar. Due to time constraint, I'll be making only a brief introduction of each of them. Our first panelist, Dr. Purnima Prabhakaran, a trained physician and epidemiologist from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She has also done doctorate in social medicines. Welcome, Dr. Purnima. She will be presenting work. She is currently working as Deputy Director, Public Health Foundation of India, Center for Environmental Health. Introductory talk on formaldehyde and its concerns. Next panelist is Dr. S.K. Nath, who served for about 32 years in the Indian Plywood Industries Research and Training Institute, Bangalore, Government of India, and has been long associated with plywood industry even after his retirement. He has published several articles on formaldehyde emissions. He will share his thoughts on certification of composite wood products to ensure better indoor air quality. Welcome, Dr. Nath. Our next panelist is Ms. Chitra Vishwanath, Principal Architect and Managing Director of My Own Environmental Solutions, which she established in 2008. My Own's design philosophy revolves around ecological architecture. She will speak on green buildings encompassing indoor air quality requirements, special attention to hospitals and schools. Welcome, Dr. Vishwanath. Our next on the list are our partners to this webinar, Mr. J.K. Bihani, President, Haryana Plywood Industry Manufacturers Association, who has been in this field for more than 40 years, and he has worked in the states of Arunachal Pradesh and Haryana. And Mr. Harish Melpani, proprietor, Sri Balaji Plywoods, civil engineer, who has been training in interior products for about 32 years. They will talk on other popular industries benefiting from certification, toys, cutleries made of wood, export-oriented handicrafts, etc. This is Niti Verma, our technical expert, heading the Safewood Standards Development Team. They will discuss on public consultation and how it can help in improvisation of the standard. I'll also give a brief on the future timelines for launch of the standards, and this will be followed by some questions and answers. And last but not the least, Mr. A.K. Srivastava, Director General, my senior colleague from the Indian Forest Service, who served on a number of important assignments in the state of Jammu and Kashmir and Jammu and Kashmir. He superannuated after serving as Additional Director General and Director General of Forest and Special Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forest. Presently, he is serving as DG full-time DG NCCF. He will give his final closing remark. Now, an overview about the standards. As you all are aware, the composite wood products have emerged as the most widely used dominant building materials over the last more than 3.5 decades, owing to their characteristics like lightweight, corrosion-free, cost effectiveness and durability. However, they do not provide us a very healthy indoor air quality due to the resins and chemicals in their production. Continuous formaldehyde emissions from these products, when put to use, is a threat to all stakeholders of the plywood industry in terms of their economic and health effect. And CCF has taken up the task of ensuring better indoor air quality to all the stakeholders and users of these products through development of certification standards. The implementation of standards aims to enable the organizations to provide accurate and verifiable information to the users, and the product has been certified by an approved third-party certification body. The standards will apply to all types of manufacturers, traders, distributors of composite wood products like plywood, particle boards, medium density fiber boards, block boards, flush doors, etc. The standards shall be driven by certification process for fixing capping limits on formaldehyde emissions from the composite wood products and labeling the products as low emitting within the specified range of these standards. The organization that chooses to get their products assessed against these standards must achieve third-party confirmation for all the requirements. Specified requirements shall be verified and documented by an accredited certification body at least once in a year. Each qualifying manufacturing unit shall label the certified products, and compliance of each product shall be demonstrated on an individual unit and management system basis. These standards will have 7 basic components, elements comprising requirements which are needed to be met out by an organization to be certified against these standards. First one, management system, which will include legality, that is, the organization is authorized to conduct its business within a legally defined locality boundary. Responsibility of personnel, the organization assigns authority and responsibility to each of its members with defined roles and responsibilities. Then training and awareness, the organization shall establish and implement relevant training plan and procedures for all the members of its staff. And outsourcing units concerned, maintenance of records, complaints mechanism, the organization will have a well-documented plan and procedures for redressal of all types of complaints and grievances. Second one is quality control, which will include sourcing of raw materials like wood, resin, coating material, adhesives, etc. Then information about supplier and its documents. The organization shall maintain supplier sale and delivery documents to confirm the material supplied, purity and calibration, etc. Then processing of materials. The organization shall ensure complete tracking, identification, segregation of certified products from those of non-certified material at all stages of production and processing. It should be physically, temporally, and identification markings wise segregated. Then quality control lab, the organization shall assign a quality control representative responsible for conducting the sampling, test, and other relevant activities. The in-house laboratory to be fully equipped as required by these standards. Then testing of products, testing by first party, in-house testing, which will include frequency of testing, sampling norms, size of the samples. Then testing methods can vary from perforator method, gas analysis method, desiccator method, or chamber method. Then third party, external testing. Batch accounting, maintain up-to-date batch accounting records, and annual.
मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर सकता, मैं बंद कर सकता इसको और क्या.
Then emission limits. Emission limits will be ranked from 1 to 5. Rank 1 means almost zero emissions. Then correlation establishment. Correlation is established between results of first party testing as well as third party testing before certification and every 12 months of continued certification. Then non-complying products. The products which are not found complying to the standards based on first and third party testing and how those are to be handled. Then outsourcing. If any job work or activity undertaken outside the unit, that will be termed as contracted or outsourced activity, and all those norms and criteria will apply to outsourced activity also. Then labeling of the products. Finally, surveillance requirements. Product once certified against these standards have to undergo assessment annually, at least once in 12 months, to continue their certification over the period. Short-term assessment have to be conducted for the products and respective organizations which need a scope change in the middle of surveillance audit and assessment. Thank you so much. Now I'll request our first panelist, Dr. Purnima Prabhakaran. Please give your introductory talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon to all my esteemed co-panelists and to all the participants in this webinar. At the outset, I would like to congratulate NCCF for this very important initiative on drafting Safeboards standards. They did it through a very comprehensive and participatory process, and I learned a lot during the process. So congratulations on the initiative. I also thank you for this opportunity to speak at this webinar. So as a public health practitioner, I'm often involved in discussions around environmental risk factors, and most of those are about the outdoor environment, things like air pollution. People living in Delhi NCR are very familiar with that conversation, things like climate change, but we talk less about the indoor environments. And talking about indoor environment quality, it should be something that we do all the time, given the number of hours that we spend in our home and work environments, especially so in this pandemic year. So indoor air quality is a critical area for discussion, and it's an important part of the environmental quality of indoor environments. Not just the air quality, but also temperature, ventilation, lighting, and the distribution of people and spaces within the indoor environments are really important and critical factors, because they impact not just the health of the people who live in these environments, but also their safety and their comfort. And I was setting this context for this talk because we are focusing here today in this webinar on Safeboard standards and the concerns that might come with some of the emissions involved from the products that are being talked about in this discussion. So formaldehyde is what my focus is going to be over the next few minutes, and I'll walk you through some of the concerns around the use of formaldehyde in this domain. So what is formaldehyde? Just it might be a familiar term to most of you, but just to bring us all on the same page. This is a colorless, flammable, highly, the odor has a very strong odor, and it's a naturally occurring organic compound made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. And if you consider any part of the ecosystem, whether it's bacteria, plants, fish, animals, human beings, all of them produce some amounts of formaldehyde naturally at the level of cellular metabolism. But we are also familiar that formaldehyde is a product that is produced at industrial scale, and it's used widely as a disinfectant. We are all familiar with that concept of formaldehyde content in our disinfectants, but also used widely as a germicide, as a fungicide, and very familiarly so as a preservative in laboratories and in mortuaries. I could not forget the experience as a first-year medical student walking into the anatomy dissection hall and the pungent odor of formaldehyde. So why are we concerned in this audience about formaldehyde? Formaldehyde is used in the manufacturing of composite wood products, which includes hardwood, particle boards, and MDF, which is one of the forms of compressed wood products. And these products are then used for very many products which have a huge composite consumer base: furniture, toys, cutlery. Wood is used in very many consumer products. And why are we concerned? This is an evolving industry. So as the complexity of the industry increases, housing and all the different synthetic products that are used in the form of furniture in the housing industry could pose a risk to human health, not just for those who are chemically sensitive or allergic or have some allergic disorders, but for everyone concerned. So while composite boards might have a upper hand compared to solid wood, it might pose a greater health concern. And that's why we are concerned with the formaldehyde emissions from these products. And for those who are new to the space, what are the different categories of pressed wood products that we are concerned with? There are particle boards, there are hardwood plywoods, and there are medium density fiber woods, which are used for different processes: for flooring, for cabinets, for furnitures, for walls, decorative wall panels. And all of these are likely to have low exposure emissions of formaldehyde. And that is the biggest concern for people when we are evolving these standards. Of these categories, MDF contains the highest resin to wood ratio and is probably recognized now as the highest formaldehyde emitting pressed wood product. And as many might be familiar, on exposure to formaldehyde, what happens? What are the risks for health? Short-term exposure causes things like irritation and burning of the eyes, watering of the eyes, irritation of the skin, maybe cough, inflammation of the lung tissues, as well as maybe irregularities of the heart. And on long-term exposures, the health impacts could range from skin irritation and eczema, which is a chronic skin condition, but even cancers. And as has been shown by the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, which is the ATSDR in the US, it has been stated that there are following symptoms in humans as a result of breathing chronic low exposure doses of formaldehyde. And the levels that have been shown to be hazardous range from very minute levels of 0.1 to 0.5 parts per million, can cause nasal and eye irritation, neurological effects, and increased risks of asthma and allergies. A little higher dose results in skin irritations and conditions like eczema and changes in lung functions. And really high levels of exposure can cause some types of cancer. And the International Agency for Research on Cancer has documented now that formaldehyde is carcinogenic to humans. And it is based on evidence of higher risks of nasopharyngeal carcinomas and leukemia, which is blood cancer. What is really concerning is that it's not that the emissions from furniture are really high doses, it's the chronic exposure to low doses of formaldehyde that is of concern. And to conclude, there is also the concern that there's probably even impacts on the genetics of individuals. So even genetic changes have been documented. Genotoxic effects of formaldehyde is also a cause for concern, and changes in peripheral lymphocytes from individuals exposed to formaldehyde has been documented. So that's in a nutshell an overview, a really bird's eye overview of formaldehyde emissions and what they can mean in terms of impacts on health. So I'll just stop there and happy to take questions later.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I mean, hearing all those ill effects of formaldehyde, especially in an indoor air quality, from a doctor is concerning, absolutely. And being a third world country, I think it is the high time that we start working upon this and sensitize people. I mean, I'm sure NCCF has started working in the right direction, but sensitizing people and telling them that how we can maybe improve. Of course, composite wood products are a contributor, but other things also that was mentioned by you, which contributes to indoor air quality solutions. And yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and for your insightful, very, very focused, comprehensive approach. Now, the next panelist, we would request Dr. S.K. Nath to give some inputs on the next topic of the webinar, that is how certification of composite wood products can ensure better indoor air quality, so we can escape the trauma that Dr. Purnima pointed out. Just a moment, I think we have some update from Dr. Nath. I think I just received message from my team that Dr. Nath doesn't have a speaker in his laptop or the machine. So Dr. Nath, can we present on your behalf and in your presence what you would like to speak to the panelists and the audience over here? Goel sir, can we do that?
Pardon me, please tell me again.
Yes, sir. Dr. Nath has some issue. He has some issues in his speaker of the laptop. So
Okay.
can we present his part that he wants to speak to the audience over here? I, on behalf of Dr. Nath, can do that.
Yes, you can do that. Can't he be taken on phone or something? Is it possible?
Yes, that is a good idea. I can just connect with him if that is possible.
Yes, just try if you can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll just connect with him. Dear panelists and audience, please allow me a moment to come back.
Okay.
Okay, so dear all, we have Nath sir on the phone. I will run his part of presentation and he will speak to you based on his experiences. So Nath sir, can you say hi to everybody so we can uh, um, see that everybody is able to hear you?
Yeah, I can see you talking.
Yeah.
So can I speak now?
Yes, sir. Can everybody hear Nath sir?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, Nath sir. Now you can run the control the presentation as well. Yeah, all over to you.
Okay, thank you, Niti.
Yes.
This is regarding the formaldehyde emission from pen products. Formaldehyde, which is present indoor as well as outdoor area, with a quantity of 0.03 ppm. In fact, formaldehyde as a natural gas is present almost in all form of life. It is in human being, it is in trees, it is in food items, and many others. So without formaldehyde, the life of the organic system formation, so photosynthesis, it is just an intermediate compound in photosynthesis and forms a part of life formation. Its relation with the wood panel product is not from the wood or originally from trees, but in fact formaldehyde emission, which poses hazard to human beings from the binding material, the adhesive, which binds the wood pieces together in the form of wood sheet, which is called veneer, or the polymer in particle board, or the fiber in fiber board, is the rate in which formaldehyde is a part. Conventional additive or the basic resin is either urea formaldehyde, melamine formaldehyde, or mixed form of urea melamine formaldehyde, formaldehyde. These are the usual chemicals or the resin polymer which bind to form panel product. Now, out of all these emission, UL has the highest emission rate, followed by UMF or the mixed resin melamine urea formaldehyde, and the melamine, and least is phenol formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, even if there is low concentration, causes hazard like your headache, nausea, sneezing, vomiting, affects cold, flu, or respiratory problem. The exposure of human being to formaldehyde related to wood panel product takes place in two places normally. One is those who are associated with the manufacture of the product. That is a part of occupational hazard. And second, of course, the end users, that is the people or the users who uses the product for their household, for furniture or other indoor paneling, etc. And also forms occupational and user hazard in other industries like textile, art, the formaldehyde is not. And told at the very beginning that formaldehyde is present as a natural gas at a concentration of 0.03 ppm. Definitely, at this concentration when present in air, it is not harmful to human beings. Up to 0.05 ppm, formaldehyde is not harmful or cannot be detected by human beings normally. Even at a rate of 0.1 ppm, most of the people cannot detect formaldehyde in air. Detectable by some people at a concentration of 0.1 ppm. In fact, formaldehyde becomes harmful for humans at a concentration of 0.5 ppm when present in air. It has been found that the workplace, that is where the formaldehyde-based adhesive is prepared and used, the formaldehyde concentration in the industry, in such industry, varies from 0.4 ppm to 2 ppm, even in some cases where the container which stores formaldehyde or even formalin open with no lid or just not in closed container, the concentration of formaldehyde in the atmosphere is above 0.2 ppm, and closed room where formaldehyde-based adhesive bonded panel product is being used, the formaldehyde concentration in the air varies depending on the product and the environmental condition. The rate of emission told from the panel product or the resin material, that is formaldehyde-based resin material, highest to urea formaldehyde, then urea melamine formaldehyde, then melamine formaldehyde. Of course, the environmental condition, temperature and humidity also have effect on the emission rate. Higher the temperature, higher the humidity, the rate of formaldehyde emission. Formaldehyde emission is due to two reasons. One is that during manufacture of the panel product, if there is formaldehyde into the panel product, that slowly emits from the product and accumulated in the air. Another source is that formaldehyde or urea melamine formaldehyde resin, and to some extent urea melamine formaldehyde resin slowly disintegrates in presence of high humidity and higher temperature and emits formaldehyde due to disintegration. The urea formaldehyde bonded or urea melamine formaldehyde bonded or to some extent melamine formaldehyde bonded panel products are the source of formaldehyde into the air where these products are being used. Then that naturally the question comes, why then formaldehyde based adhesive is being used, not the alternative wood bonding? Is that which are being used and formaldehyde other resin or polymer which can be used for wood bonding. And also it has been found that formaldehyde bonded adhesive is better bonding in wood or where the formaldehyde based adhesive is used elsewhere. So from the industrial point of view, going for another adhesive is not easily acceptable. For example, the polyurethane resin can be used for very well in wood bonding. It gives waterproof bonding. Wood binder, it is excellent. But the cost is about 3 to 4 times than the conventional urea formaldehyde resin or the urea melamine formaldehyde resin, about 3 to 4 times. So industrially, use of such adhesive, say polyurethane adhesive, is not feasible or not acceptable. Then what is the way? The way is that of formaldehyde from the panel product by appropriate which can limit the emission of formaldehyde. So the to put along with the adhesive some intervention, the preparation of the adhesive in such a way that the excess formaldehyde is not being trapped into the panel product, and also the formaldehyde to urea is being used in such a way in the manufacture of the polymer, adhesive polymer, so that it limits at a very low concentration the emission, or it controls the emission at a very low level, which is not being hazardous to the human being. So that those are the measures. But how to know? How the users will come to know that which panel has a low level of limit and low level of emission rate? The process one is being done on the panel product. The panel product, what is the formaldehyde strength in the material, or what can be the subsequent or steady state, that is continuous emission of formaldehyde from the product. There are different types of methods are there, and the that for particle board and MDF, it is less than 0.3 ppm. Is the steady state emission from this ppm. Of course, this limit varies from country to country. Japan perhaps strictest in respect of formaldehyde emission level. One international standard which has been used and accepted by almost all the countries of the world is the CARB certification, California Air Board certification, which follows the following norms that for particle board and MDF, it is E1 standard, that is the emission level below or equal to 0.1, and for plywood, it is E or 0.05 ppm level. Next comes how to test the panel material, that what will be the emission from the panel product. Different standard test method has been devised. Among these is the one is called the chamber method, which can be very big chamber, almost representing one hall or a big room, where the panel is being kept and the emission therefrom is being measured. Even nature of the small chamber is being used sometimes to test the emission of formaldehyde. Other methods which are being used are the desiccator method, gas analysis method. In India, we called the perforated method, in which the formaldehyde content in the product is being tested and is related to formaldehyde emission. In India, the has not yet been taken to the standard. For particle board and MDF, it is E1 and E2 has been given the standard for emission level. But for India, for plywood, it has not yet included in any of the standard or to principle. It has been taken that it will make a optional standard to the BIS standard up to and for all practical purposes, which is the one standard. So in India, there is no authority. The standard organization who takes the responsibility to test the panel product which goes into the market for sale and for public use. So the initiative taken by NCCS to standardize the process, to test the material, and for finally for certification of the material is a noble approach, and it should be accepted by the consumer and consequently by BIS. Hopefully, BIS will come forward to fix the top emission, and NCCS definitely can play the novel role for certification. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was actually an insightful session, especially we all know that how Dr. Nath is, how experienced he is in the sector, and how well he explained the chemistry behind the indoor air quality or poor indoor air quality. So thank you so much again, sir, even if it was difficult for you to connect to this webinar, but I think we all were able to hear you and get the insight from you. The next panelist, I would request Chitra ma'am to kindly share her experiences on the next topic that we want to discuss in the webinar. Chitra ma'am, welcome again, and we would now give her the access to be the presenter. Chitra ma'am would like to share the screen.
Yes. Thank you, Niti, and thank you, Safeboard team, for, in fact, I must say, educating me into lots of stuff, especially Dr. Purnima, her introduction on formaldehyde was very helpful, and especially from the various meetings, I've learned a lot. We've been practicing ecological architecture, so I thought talking about buildings would be very interesting for me, and thank you for making this whole process possible. So this is with attention to hospitals and schools. Okay, now I need to do a bit of work. Yeah. Okay, so can I switch off my webcam? Yeah. Yep. So our cities are in the throes of expansion, and with the SDG goals, we really need to improve our infrastructure hugely. I think 100 times we have to improve that. And that means that you're going to be constructing for a long time, and which results in horrible air quality outside. Even the smallest of city is full of smog and dust. But luckily, and especially because of our climatic conditions, we can have cross ventilation. We are not in a cold country where we have to close our doors and windows and keep it warm inside. So cross ventilation is hugely possible. But if the outdoor air quality is a suspect, like let's say for the need in a hospital where indoor air quality has to be very high, we have to put in all kinds of filters, HEPA filters, and all sorts of things to make the indoor air quality free from virus and other infection. Now, so all this is possible through this various kinds of HEPA filters, but we need furniture. And if they emit and they create sick building syndrome, it's really sad state for the patient. So a safe board is a necessity for us, and we cannot keep on thinking of it that we can do it later or it's not needed for us, for hospitals especially. And then when it comes to schools, we need softer surfaces for the children, and we can't put the steel furniture. They really rust and become bad, and they're very difficult for children to move them around or work with them. A lighter furniture is best, and again, a lighter one, even then by wood, is not light enough. So again, we need an alternative, and we not only need, we need to learn from other countries where better alternatives have come, and that's what the safe board would provide us. So what do we need in a green building is that we reduce the amount of pollutants which come inside the building. But more than that, we also reduce the pollutants happening somewhere else from where the manufacturing is happening. So where the manufacturing is happening, and what Dr. Purnima said, if formaldehyde is being used extensively, it's just our own people who are making our boards are going to be affected with cancer, and not something which makes us use that material comfortably inside our buildings. Yes, as architects, we can provide ventilation, but we need to provide ventilation in such a way that dust is less. And for that, we have to put trees. And we have to give the performance specifications and test the building at various stages so that it is also green and it performs as designed. Then there is the maintenance. So all this during maintenance is when we really see the indoor air quality. So like I said earlier, we really can't have bad air quality inside an hospital at all. And we can't go in for replacing it with plastic because we know very well how plastics are detrimental to health. So a combination is very important. A way of thinking for future is important. And similarly in the schools too. And we need to build a lot of schools. We have very few, and so again, see, what this shows us, both hospitals and schools, we need to build them in huge numbers, and they would require furniture, they would require equipment inside, and which would need that we need to take care of the indoor air quality. Again, the IGBC has come up with various certifications, and also for operation and maintenance, as well as how to reduce the environmental impact. So if you go to the IGBC website, you could see the various rating systems. Now, this is an American data, especially because of the way the climate is. You have closed indoors because of, again, cold climate. But if the building is green, the air quality being better inside, it reduces absenteeism, it increases that teachers are retained, and also the community image is better, because especially because you have schools and hospitals in the community. Obviously, the community image goes up. So you can see how a small thing like a furniture affects the air quality within and affects the community. Sadly, we don't have such data to talk about in India. But we've done quite a few schools in India which are improving. So this is in yellow, we have highlighted the schools done by Biome. And here is a picture of a school called Atelier, where we have used paper as partitions, but paper tubes, and we've used bamboo boards for the false ceiling, and also corrugated boards for furniture. So all these would have required some kind of a resin to hold, to get everything together. And it's only through the huge amount of wonderful cross ventilation that we can retain that we have better air quality within. And so I see Safeboards as a need for the future. The Safeboard will reduce the use of wood. It can use agriculture and other waste. We have only 11% of our forests remaining in India, and we really have to save them and reduce use of wood within our environments will keep our forest. And by keeping the forest, we increase or we improve the outdoor air quality, which is important. We can't only have indoor air quality better, but we should also have better air quality outside. So trees and forests are important for our air quality. And if we stop harvesting trees, we have better biodiversity. And trees are important for water too. Trees hold water. So our rivers survive if we have forests. We can't keep cutting forests and make doors and windows or furniture. But if we can develop a better and improved Safeboard, which has a better resin, we could use agriculture waste to make the boards, which we are using agriculture waste for making the board. Use of agriculture waste will make agriculture waste itself economically profitable, and so the burning of agriculture waste can be reduced. So you can finally, you see that improving our boards has phenomenal effects, but not only the indoor air quality, it's the outdoor air quality. It helps the farmers. It generally, sorry, helps the biodiversity itself. Finally, most importantly, improved boards will make the people who make our boards safe. They should not get cancer just because we use their boards. So everybody will be guilt-free. Thank you. So I've finished.
Absolutely. I mean, so rightly said. And we all are aware that Ms. Chitra is also a part of our standards development group and technical working group. Rightly so, because she has vast experience, and her company itself is under is professing sustainable buildings, and she has worked as pointed by her in one of the slides for few schools which are sustainable or better indoor air quality they have. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for driving us through your experiences, journey, and thank you so much for taking part in this webinar and educating all of us how important it is in terms of from the point of view of an architecture, from an architect. Sorry. Our next panelist is Mr. Harish Malpani. Malpani, sir, can I request you to share your screen? Mr. Malpani would share his experiences because he is a composite wood product dealer, and his main business and his main experience counts about the composite wood products, and would like to hear from him more on this. Malpani, sir, we cannot hear you.
No, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I see? Can you see me?
We can't see you, but we can see your presentation, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. जैसे कि मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, ये हाउस ऑफ टॉक्सिक फ्यूम्स, हम लोग आजकल इसी हाउस में रहते हैं। ये हाउस को हम हमारे चारों तरफ से फॉर्मल्डिहाइड और CO2 ने पूरा घेर के रखा है। दोस्तों, हम लोग हमारा हाउस से थ्रेड बचाने के लिए बहुत खर्चा करते हैं। हम लोग बड़े बड़े डोर्स लगाते हैं, सिक्योरिटी सिस्टम्स करते हैं, किंतु फॉर्मल्डिहाइड या CO2 का इमिशन हमारे जो डायरेक्टली हेल्थ के ऊपर इफेक्ट करता है, उसको रोकने के लिए हम लोग कुछ भी किया नहीं करते हैं। जनरली हम लोग रियल इस्टेट जब भी लेते हैं तो सबसे पहले हम तो लोकेलिटी मैच करने का कोशिश करते हैं, वहाँ की अप्रोचेबिलिटी मैच करने की कोशिश करते हैं। उसके बाद में फ्रेश वेजिटेबल वहाँ मिलता है कि नहीं, फूड सप्लाई है कि नहीं है, ये सब देखते हैं। किंतु आजकल की नए जनरेशन उसके बाद में एक सबसे बड़ी चीज देखती है, वो बोले तो एयर पोल्यूशन इंडेक्स। उस एरिया का एयर पोल्यूशन इंडेक्स क्या है, वो देखकर ही वो लोग अपनी डील फाइनल करते हैं। आज दिल्ली में, NCR में ऐसी कई एरियाज है जहाँ पे पोल्यूशन ज्यादा होने के कारण रेट में रियल एस्टेट के बहुत बड़ा गिरावट आया है। एयर पोल्यूशन होने से एयर पोल्यूशन होने के लिए बहुत सारी टॉक्सिक फ्यूम्स ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल होती है। चलो आइए हम लोग उस टॉक्सिक फ्यूम के बारे में बात करेंगे। CO2 इमिशन का लेवल कम करने के लिए पूरी वर्ल्ड के अंदर बहुत बड़ा कंट्री का मूवमेंट चल रहा है। हम लोगों ने अभी देखा 2016 के अंदर जब हमारी बाइक्स थी, वो आधी कीमत के ऊपर हमारे डीलर्स लोग बेच रहे थे। क्यों बेच रहे थे, आपको शायद जानकर अचरज होगा। गवर्नमेंट के नॉर्म्स के कारण गवर्नमेंट ने BS5 से BS6 के ऊपर स्विच ओवर किया था। वैसे ही कुछ हमारे फॉर्मल्डिहाइड के बारे में भी अभी गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे बहुत कुछ चल रहा है। इसलिए हम लोगों को जरूरी है हमारे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सिस्टम के अंदर चेंज करके, हमारे केमिकल सिस्टम के अंदर चेंज करके हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स का इमिशन कम करना बहुत जरूरी है। मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि आने वाली जो जनरेशन है वो पूरा फर्नीचर बनने के बाद में इंडोर एयर क्वालिटी चेक करके ही फिर हमारा बिल्डिंग परचेस करेगी। दोस्तों हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। इमिशन क्या है इसके बारे में हम लोग जानेंगे। इमिशन बोले तो एक वोलाटाइल ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड होता है जो कुछ फ्यूम्स इमिट करता है। जनरली ये फ्यूम्स टॉक्सिक होती है, उसके अंदर से फॉर्मल्डिहाइड का कंटेंट हमारे शरीर के अंदर आ सकता है, हमारे हेल्थ के ऊपर अफेक्ट कर सकता है। जनरली बहुत सारी हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स इससे होती है। तो यह हेल्थ को प्रॉब्लम करने वाले प्रोडक्ट्स कहाँ से आते हैं, हम इसके लिए बात करेंगे। जनरली बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल्स में ही हमारे बिल्डिंग मटेरियल के बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल्स जो होते हैं उसके अंदर से ही यह फ्यूम्स आती है। तो आइए हम लोग बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल्स कौन सी टाइप के होती है उसके बारे में बात करेंगे। जनरली नेचुरल और सिंथेटिक टाइप की दो बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल्स होती है जो हमारे इंडस्ट्री के अंदर यूज होती है, किंतु नेचुरल बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल का बहुत कम यूज है, सिंथेटिक बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल ही ज्यादा यूज होती है। उसके अंदर सिंथेटिक बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल में पर्टिकुलरली दो ही रेजिन्स यूज होते हैं, या थर्मोप्लास्टिक एक फर्स्ट वन और सेकंड वन है थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन्स। जैसे कि आप पिक्चर में देख रहे हैं, थर्मोप्लास्टिक्स इसके अंदर पॉलीमर की चेन लिंक नहीं हुआ करती है, इसलिए यह कम टेम्परेचर के ऊपर हमारे प्लाईवुड को और लैमिनेट को बॉन्ड करता है। किंतु अगर उसी पीरियड में अगर वहां ज्यादा टेम्परेचर हो जाए तो यह बॉन्ड खुल जाता है। जनरली ये थर्मोप्लास्टिक हम लोग कितने भी टाइम इनको रिसाइकल कर सकते हैं, इनका लो मेल्टिंग पॉइंट होता है और इनके बॉन्ड भी जल्दी ओपन हो जाते हैं। अगर हम इसका एग्जांपल लेना चाहेंगे तो फेविकॉल का एग्जांपल हम लोग ले सकते हैं। फेविकॉल को हम लोग पॉलीविनाइल एसीटेट हमारे टेक्निकल नेम में बोलेंगे। यह पीवी एक ग्लू रूम टेम्परेचर पे ही क्योर हो जाता है और जस्ट एक रबिंग करके हम लोग इसको क्योर कर सकते हैं। किंतु यह ग्लू एलिवेटेड टेम्परेचर के ऊपर अपना बॉन्ड छोड़ देता है। अब हम लोग थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन्स के बारे में बात करेंगे। थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन, यह जैसे आप देखते हैं थर्मोसेटिंग प्लास्टिक अगर हम सोचेंगे तो हमारे कार के अंदर, डैशबोर्ड के अंदर, टीवी केस के अंदर जो प्लास्टिक होती है वो फायर कभी भी कैच नहीं करती है, या यह रीमेल्ट भी नहीं होती है, रिफॉर्म भी नहीं होती है। ऐसी रेजिन्स का हमारे बॉन्डिंग मटेरियल के अंदर बहुत क्वांटम में यूज होता है। जनरली हमारे इंजीनियर्ड बोर्ड बॉन्ड करने के लिए हम थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन ही यूज करते हैं। थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन यह एलिवेटेड टेम्परेचर के ऊपर बॉन्ड होते हैं। जनरली 120 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड से लेकर तो 150 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड के ऊपर यह थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन बॉन्ड होते हैं। और यह थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन डायमेंशनली स्टेबल भी होते हैं। जनरली हमारे पार्टिकल बोर्ड हो गए, एमडीएफ बोर्ड हो गए, प्लाईवुड हो गए, ऐसे कई सारे बोर्ड हम थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन के अंदर ही बॉन्ड करते हैं। थर्मोसेटिंग रेजिन हमारे को फॉर्मेलिन से ही बनता है। आइए हम लोग फॉर्मेलिन के बारे में जानकारी हासिल करेंगे। फॉर्मेलिन हमको मीथेन से मिलता है और जैसा आपको पता ही है मीथेन यह हमारे नेचुरल गैस से हम सेग्रीगेट करके हम मीथेन पाते हैं। मीथेन यह अंडरग्राउंड या सी के बेड से हमको मिलता है। हम इस मीथेन से मिथेनॉल बना सकते हैं और मिथेनॉल को हम लोग ऑक्सीडेशन किया तो हमारे को एक फॉर्मल्डिहाइड नाम का एक गैस प्राप्त होता है। यह प्योर फॉर्मल्डिहाइड कलरलेस होता है, कलरलेस गैस होता है। इसकी पंजेंट स्मेल होती है और इजीली यह फायर कैच करने से इसको हम लोग वाटर के अंदर डिसॉल्व करके ही हम लोग इसको ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हैं और इसी को यूज करते हैं। अगर सैचुरेटेड सॉल्यूशन के अंदर 40% फॉर्मल्डिहाइड बाय वॉल्यूम है या 30% फॉर्मल्डिहाइड बाय मास है तो हम इसको 100% फॉर्मेलिन कहते हैं। इस फॉर्मेलिन के अंदर हम कुछ हद तक मेथनॉल स्टेबिलाईजर बोल के यूज किया करते हैं। अगर हम लोग इसका फॉर्मेलिन का कंपोजिशन देखे तो 38 to 37% इसके अंदर फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड गैस होती है। उसके पश्चात 10 to 15% हम लोग इसके अंदर मिथेनॉल का स्टेबिलाईजर बोल के यूज करते हैं, और बाकी जो बचा क्वांटम है 48 to 53% का वाटर का होता है। ऐसा हमारे फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड हमारे इंडस्ट्री के अंदर आया करता है। अभी फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड की यूज हमारे इंडस्ट्री के अलावा कहाँ पे है, इसके बारे में भी हम बात करेंगे। जैसे कुछ हम हमारे प्रिजर्वेटिव इन मेडिकल लेबोरेटरीज, हम जब कॉलेजेस में जाते हैं तो कई सारे जानवरों को एक बॉटल के अंदर प्रिजर्व किया हुआ रहता है। वो उसके अंदर जो वाटर जो प्रिजर्वेटिव होता है वो फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड होता है। फिर फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड मॉर्चरीज के अंदर इनवेल्विंग एजेंट बोल के भी यूज किया जाता है। जो डेड बॉडी होती है उसको प्रिजर्व करने के लिए हम लोग मॉर्चरीज के अंदर भी फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड का यूज करते हैं। और फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड यूरिया, फिनॉल और मेलामाइन के साथ में बॉन्ड करके कई स्पेशलिटी इंडस्ट्रियल केमिकल इससे बनाए जाते हैं। इसके अलावा फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड एडेसिव बोल के हमारे पार्टिकल बोर्ड, फाइबर बोर्ड, प्लाईवुड इंडस्ट्री में यूज होता है। उसके अलावा मोल्डिंग इंडस्ट्री में, साथों साथ पेपर ट्रीटिंग और पेपर कोटिंग इंडस्ट्री में भी इसका यूज होता है। उसके अलावा टेक्सटाइल ट्रीटमेंट में भी इसका यूज किया जाता है। और सबसे बड़ा यूज हमारे सरफेस कोटिंग इंडस्ट्री बोले तो पेंट इंडस्ट्री में भी फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड का बहुत बड़ा क्वांटम यूज होता है। और उसके अलावा दोस्तों ये इंसुलेशन इंडस्ट्री है, उसके अंदर जो फोमिंग एजेंट आपको दिखाई देते हैं वो जनरली आपके फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड के ही होते हैं। इसके अलावा मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री के अंदर भी इसका कई जगह यूज किया जाता है। कब्स ड्रॉप्स में, स्किन डिसइंफेक्टेंट बोल के भी इसका यूज होता है। माउथ वॉशेस के लिए भी इसका यूज होता है। अभी हम लोग एडवर्स इफेक्ट ऑफ द फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड ऑन आवर हेल्थ के बारे में बात करेंगे। अगर बिलो 0.1 ppm यह फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड अगर हमारे इन्वायरमेंट में है तो हमको यह डिटेक्टेबल नहीं होता है। परंतु 0.1% से 0.5% के अगर है उसका क्वांटम है तो यह हमारे कुछ लोगों को एक्सपीरियंस होता है। उसका नोज या आईज के अंदर थोड़ा सा इरिटेशन होता है। इसके बाद में अगर इसका क्वांटम और बढ़ा दिया जाए 1 ppm तक तो यह सभी को इरिटेशन प्रोवाइड करता है नोज में, आईज में और थ्रोट में। अगर इसका क्वांटम 1 mm के ऊपर 1 ppm के ऊपर चले गया, 1% पर मिलियन के ऊपर चले गया तो एक्सट्रीम डिस्कम्फर्ट हम लोग इसका दिखाई देता है। अगर हम लोग इसके प्रोलॉन्ग एक्सपोजर के साथ में रहे तो कार्सिनोजन बोले तो कैंसर हमारे को हो सकता है। मेनली लंग्स का कैंसर इसके अंदर डिटेक्ट होता है। तो हमारे जो सेफबोर्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है इन्होंने भी अभी कुछ स्टैंडर्ड्स बनाए हैं, पर इंटरनेशनली स्टैंडर्ड मैं आपको बताता हूँ। जैसे E0 बोले तो इमिशन जीरो वाला जो पार्ट होता है उसके अंदर से अगर प्रोडक्ट होता है तो उसके अंदर से अगर फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड इमिशन लेस देन अगर 0.5 ppm है तो इसको हम लोग जीरो इमिशन प्रोडक्ट बोलते हैं। इसके अलावा अगर E1 है तो उसके अंदर से 0.5 से 1.5 ppm तक इमिशन होता है। अगर E2 ग्रेड हम लोगों ने उस प्रोडक्ट को दिया है इसका मतलब उसके अंदर 1.5 से ज्यादा इमिशन है। तो आज ही हमको हमारे सेफ बोर्ड से कांटेक्ट करते हुए हमारे सब मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को मैं निवेदन करूंगा कि इमिशन लो करने के लिए क्या क्या नॉर्म्स रखने चाहिए इसके बारे में हम लोग बात उनसे करें। उसके अलावा भी मैं आपको कुछ फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड के इमिशंस हमारे सराउंडिंग में कैसे होते हैं उसके बारे में भी बताना चाहूंगा। जैसे ऑल लाइव स्टॉक्स होते हैं वो फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड के मेटाबॉलिज्म में प्रोड्यूस करते हैं। और जब भी हम लोग कुछ फायर करते हैं तो उसके अंदर से जो स्मोक होता है उसके अंदर से भी फॉर्मेलिन की इमिशन होती है। उसके अलावा ऑटोमोबाइल, सिगरेट के स्मोक से भी फॉर्मेल्डिहाइड की इमिशन होती है। और हमारे घर में के जो भी बहुत सारे मटेरियल्स है जैसे वुड बोर्ड्स हो गए, उसके अलावा पेंट्स हो गए, ऐसे कई प्रोडक्ट्स है जिसके अंदर से हमारा फॉर्मल्डिहाइड इमिट होता है। किंतु यह फॉर्मल्डिहाइड हम लाइव स्टॉक भी इमिट करते हैं और कुछ कुछ प्रोडक्ट के अंदर जैसे एप्पल्स, पियर्स में यह नेचुरली होता है। कुछ वेजिटेबल्स हम कुक करते हैं उसके अंदर भी यह फॉर्मेलिन होता है। और हमारे मेटाबॉलिज्म में भी इसका इम्पोर्टेंट बहुत है। अभी हम लोग बात करेंगे हमारे इंडस्ट्री के अंदर हम तीन टाइप्स के मटेरियल्स यूज करते हैं एज ए बॉन्डिंग एजेंट। फर्स्ट वन है यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड, जो मोस्ट पोटेंट है इमिटिंग फ्यूम्स करने के लिए। और यह यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड मैक्सिममली सभी इंजीनियर्ड बोर्ड के अंदर बॉन्डिंग एजेंट बोल के इसके कॉस्ट कम होने से यूज होता है। उसके बाद में यह जो यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड है यह मिल्की दिखने से अपने प्रोडक्ट का स्वरूप भी कोई चेंज नहीं करता है। उसके बाद में कलरलेस मटेरियल है मेलामाइन। मेलामाइन का और यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड का रेट में बहुत ज्यादा तफावत होने से यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड ही ज्यादा यूज होता है। यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड, मेलामाइन फॉर्मल्डिहाइड भी आजकल बहुत सारी कंपनियां इमिशन लो करने के लिए यूज कर रही है, या कोई लोग MUF बोले तो यूरिया और मेलामाइन फॉर्मल्डिहाइड का यूज करते हैं। उसके बाद में जो सबसे लेस फिनॉल फॉर्मल्डिहाइड इमिट करता है फ्यूम्स हमारी फॉर्मेलिन की। तो किंतु फिनॉल यह ब्राउनिश या ब्लैकिश कलर होने से हमारे प्रोडक्ट के ऊपर भी इफेक्ट करता है, इसलिए लोग मेलामाइन या यूरिया फॉर्मल्डिहाइड का ही हमारी इंडस्ट्री के अंदर यूज करते हैं। उसके बाद में हम लोग ड्यूरिंग प्रोडक्शन इसका इमिशन कैसा कम करेंगे इसके बारे में मैं आपको बताता हूँ। जहां पे भी हमारी प्रेस है या हमारा ग्लू किचन है, उस एरिया को हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा एयर सर्कुलेट रखे, ओपन एयर में रखे तो बहुत अच्छा है। उसके ओपन एयर बोले तो साइड से सब ओपन रहे तो बहुत अच्छा है ग्लू किचन और प्रेस। उसके बाद में वहां से हम जो एयर है उसका एग्जॉस्ट प्रॉपरली करें तो बहुत अच्छा होता है। उसके पश्चात हम अगर कूलिंग स्टार रखे, जिसके ऊपर मैं आपको पिक्चर में बता रहा हूँ, सामने एक पिक्चर में, जो बोर्ड इमीडिएट बनने के बाद में उसको उसकी जो फ्यूम्स है इमिट होने के लिए हम लोग अगर इसी कूलिंग स्टार के ऊपर उसको 1 घंटा अगर बोर्ड को 1 से 3 घंटा तक रखते हैं तो इसकी बहुत सारी फ्यूम्स इमीडिएट ही बाहर चली जाती है। उसके अलावा हम लोग स्कैवेंजर्स का भी यूज कर सकते हैं हमारे रेजिन के अंदर, जिससे भी हमारा कम हो जाता है। जैसे सोडियम मेटाबायोसल्फेट का यूज कर हमारे रेजिन के अंदर यूज करके हम इमिशन कम कर सकते हैं। उसके बाद में मैं आपको इंडोर रिडक्शन के बारे में बताऊंगा। जनरली हमारे घर में जो भी फायर होती है, अगर हमको फायर कम करना है तो हम सोलर एनर्जी का कुकिंग के लिए अगर यूज करते हैं इंस्टेड ऑफ वुड और केरोसिन के जगह, तो हमारी इंडोर क्वालिटी थोड़ी बेटर हो सकती है। सिगरेट का यूज हम लोग ना करें तो बहुत अच्छा है। हीटिंग और कूलिंग जो सिस्टम है उसके लिए हम लोग इंसुलेशन का प्रॉपरली यूज किए तो हमारा इंडोर इमिशन कम हो सकता है। उसके अलावा लो इमिटिंग E0 ग्रेड के मटेरियल, इंजीनियर वुड या पेंट हम अगर हमारे फर्नीचर इंडस्ट्री के या इंटीरियर इंडस्ट्री में यूज करते हैं तो हमारा इमिशन इंडोर का बहुत अच्छा कम हो सकता है। और इसके साथ में हम जो भी मटेरियल है उसको प्रॉपरली अगर सील करें तो भी हम लोग इमिशन हमारे इंडोर का कम कर सकते हैं। इसके अलावा हम लोग प्रॉपर एयर सर्कुलेशन और एग्जॉस्ट पोल्यूटेड एयर हम अगर एग्जॉस्ट करते हैं तो भी हमारा इंडोर का इमिशन कम हो सकता है। इसके अलावा हमको टेम्परेचर, ह्यूमिडिटी और वेंटिलेशन के प्रॉपरली मेंटेन करने पड़ता है। अगर हायर टेम्परेचर और हायर ह्यूमिडिटी है तो हमारी इमिशन की लेवल इंटरनली बढ़ जाती है। तो दोस्तों, मैंने आपको आज इमिशन के बारे में बताया। मैं आशा करता हूँ सेफ बोर्ड ने मुझे आज के इस इस वेबिनार प्रेजेंटेशन पे मुझे बोलने का मौका दिया है, इसीलिए सभी सेफबोर्ड टीम का मैं शुक्रगुजार हूँ। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much, sir. Harish sir, you have given us a lot of inputs on how the composite wood products, impact us, and of course how it can be. What are the different chemicals which can contribute and which can help manufacturers to make actually safe board products. So I would request our next panelist, Mr. J.K. Bihani, to give us some inputs on the next topic of ours, which is just a moment.
धन्यवाद.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to all our listeners and viewers and learned panelists, wood engineers and architects. मेरा ये इसमें वीडियो कनेक्शन नहीं हो पा रहा प्रॉपर से, क्योंकि मैं मोबाइल से बात कर रहा हूँ, शायद उसमें ऐसा प्रोविजन नहीं है, तो मैं माफी चाहता हूँ, लेकिन आप मेरी आवाज शायद सुन पाएंगे। इससे जस्ट पहले हरीश बालपाणी जी, जो कि एक प्लाईवुड के डीलर होते हुए उन्होंने इतनी जानकारी दी, बड़ी सुखद आश्चर्य की बात है। और वो शायद कभी प्लाईवुड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी नहीं रहे, केवल उनका इंटरेस्ट है, तो ये एक बहुत बढ़िया बात है। और मैं अब जो मेन अपनी बात कहने पे आता हूँ, ये सेफ बोर्ड की टीम में बड़े लर्निड साइंटिस्ट हैं, वुड साइंटिस्ट है, केमिकल साइंटिस्ट है। अभी हम सब ने वो उनके स्पीचेस और व्यूज सुने। मुझे भी एज ए इंडस्ट्री के नाते इसमें इंक्लूड किया गया था, तो मेरा एक इसमें ज्ञान एक लिमिटेड ही है। जो मेरे से कनेक्टेड है मैं वो बात ही कमर्शियल की करूंगा। अभी वक्ताओं ने बताया कि अभी हॉस्पिटल भी सेफ बोर्ड के लिए जरूरी है, सेफ बोर्ड लगना जरूरी है। हॉस्पिटल, स्कूल्स, कंज्यूमर में अवेयरनेस आ रही है। आगे आगे जो नई बिल्डिंगें बनेंगी, ग्रीन बिल्डिंग बनेंगी, वो एमिशन फ्री होनी चाहिए, और ये जरूरी भी है, क्योंकि ये एस्टेब्लिश हो चुका है कि फॉर्मल्डिहाइड एमिशन से कैंसर का खतरा हो सकता है, और हो सकता है नहीं, होता ही है। तो ये सबको देखते हुए हम शुरुआत करते हैं कि चाइल्डहुड से जब बच्चे कोई जमाने में प्लास्टिक के खिलौने या दूसरे कुछ टाइप के खिलौने यूज करते थे, प्लास्टिक टॉयज, आजकल वो भी अवेयर जैसे वुडन टॉयज द्वारा सब्स्टिट्यूट किए जा रहे हैं। और वुडन टॉयज पे जो पॉलिश होती है, उसे जो उसकी सरफेस को जो स्मूथ बनाती है, उसके अंदर भी फॉर्मल्डिहाइड का यूज होता है। इसलिए ये फॉर्मल्डिहाइड एमिशन सेफ बोर्ड बनना बहुत जरूरी है, इसका यूज होना भी बहुत जरूरी है। ये टॉयज का मार्केट दुनिया, और ये सेफ, अगर फॉर्मल्डिहाइड एमिशन से सेफ बने तो ये पूरी दुनिया के लिए बहुत बढ़िया रहेगा, और आगे हमारे लिए इसके लिए फ्यूचर भी अच्छा रहेगा, अगर हमारे मैन्युफैक्चरर इस और थोड़ा सा ध्यान दें और इसको अडॉप्ट करें। तो टॉयज के अलावा अभी टॉयज का मेन सप्लायर चाइना रहा है, और पिछले कोविड के और उस टाइम के अंदर हमारे इंडिया को उसमें एक स्पेस मिला है एंटर करने का। अगर हम फॉर्मल्डिहाइड एमिशन फ्री टॉयज वगैरह, वुडन टॉयज बनाएं, हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स बनाएं, हैंडीक्राफ्ट एक्सपोर्ट में हम ऑलरेडी काफी अपनी जगह बना चुके हैं। उसकी पॉलिश वगैरह में जो फॉर्मल्डिहाइड एमिशन फ्री अगर हम केमिकल यूज करें तो हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छा होगा। इसके अलावा आजकल वन टाइम यूज जो प्लास्टिक है उसको भी सरकारें धीरे धीरे बैन कर रही हैं, अवेयरनेस भी आ रही है। यूज एंड थ्रो प्लास्टिक का यूज अब धीरे धीरे रिस्ट्रिक्टेड होते जा रहा है, और उसकी जगह जो वुडन कटलरीज है उसका यूज बढ़ रहा है। इसकी मार्केट करीब करीब इस वक्त खास करके एशिया साइड में 1500 करोड़ रुपए पर एनएम की है, और ये धीरे धीरे बढ़ भी रही है। और इसके अंदर इंडिया का भी काफी अच्छा स्थान है, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ भी ये जो मध्य प्रदेश वगैरह में लीव से और से काफी वुडन कटलरी बन रही है और एक्सपोर्ट भी हो रही है, और इसमें कुछ पॉलिशिंग एजेंट्स होते हैं, उसमें फॉर्मलडिहाइड का यूज होता है। तो ये भी हमें फॉर्मलडिहाइड एमिशन फ्री इसको हम बनाएं, और ये एक बहुत अच्छा हमारे लिए एक एरिया हो सकता है, इसमें हम कुछ कमर्शियल काम करें। तो ये हम तभी कर पाएंगे जब हम इस बारे में कुछ अवेयर होंगे। अभी जो देखने में आया है कि चाइना और जो एशिया वगैरह खास करके देशों में, मलेशिया, इंडोनेशिया में, यहाँ भी ये जो वुडन कटलरीज का चलन काफी बढ़ रहा है और यहाँ से एक्सपोर्ट भी खूब हो रहा है। इंडिया इस स्पेस को ऑक्युपाई कर सकता है, बशर्ते कि हम भी इस ओर अपना ध्यान दें और ऐसे प्रोडक्ट बनाने में अपना ध्यान केंद्रित करें। मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि नॉर्दर्न इंडिया में शायद हम लोग जो रेजिन बना रहे हैं, जो अच्छा बना रहे हैं, वो फॉर्मलडिहाइड एमिशन फ्री हो भी सकता है, लेकिन शायद इसका हमें पता नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारे पास इसकी टेस्टिंग की कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं है और शायद इसके बारे में सोचा भी नहीं गया। अगर ये कोई इतने ज्यादा कॉस्टली इंस्ट्रूमेंट भी नहीं है, अगर हर फैक्ट्री वाला परफोरेटर मेथड, डेसिकेटर मेथड और गैस एनालिसिस मेथड से अपनी फैक्ट्री में रेजिन बना के उसके रिजल्ट चेक करें और उसे लैब में भेजा जाए जहां चैम्बर टेस्ट होता है, और उसके रिजल्ट का आपस में मिलान करें, तो शायद ऐसा हो भी सकता है कि हमारे जो प्रोडक्ट हैं वो काफी हद तक उस क्राइटेरिया को, उसके नजदीक पहुंचते होंगे, और थोड़ी बहुत एफर्ट्स करने से या कुछ टेक्नोलॉजिकल उसमें चेंज करने से हम वो अचीव भी कर सकते हैं। हमारी सेफ बोर्ड की टीम में बहुत लर्निड साइंटिस्ट हैं, केमिकल इंजीनियर्स है, और उन्होंने दुनिया के जो बढ़िया से बढ़िया स्टैंडर्ड है, जैसे जापान का है, यूरोप का E13986 है, जर्मनी का स्टैंडर्ड है, ऑस्ट्रिया के फॉर्मलडिहाइड रेगुलेशन है, डेनमार्क, स्वीडन और कैलिफोर्निया खास करके, उन सब की रिक्वायरमेंट को देखते हुए हमारे एनसीसीएफ ने ड्राफ्ट स्टैंडर्ड तैयार किए हैं, जो कि ऑनलाइन है और उसके बारे में पब्लिक कमेंट भी इनवाइटेड हैं। और ये जब फाइनल हो जाएगा तो हमें लगता है कि एक बहुत ही अच्छा स्टैंडर्ड निकल के आएगा। और धीरे धीरे मैं, अगर आर्किटेक्ट और वुड इंजीनियर भी सुन रहे हैं, तो उनसे मेरा रिक्वेस्ट रहेगा कि वो फॉर्मलडिहाइड एमिशन फ्री प्रोडक्ट को यूज करने पे अपना कुछ जोर दें, ताकि उनकी जो रिक्वायरमेंट रहेगी तो नेचुरली मैन्युफैक्चरर भी उस लाइन में जाने की कोशिश करेंगे। और इसमें कोई बहुत बड़ी लागत बढ़ने वाली नहीं है, लेकिन प्रोडक्ट की वैल्यू काफी अच्छी बढ़ जाएगी अगर ये एमिशन फ्री प्रोडक्ट हम सर्टिफाई करवा लेते हैं। तो मेरा ये अनुरोध है हमारे सभी साथियों से जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में है, प्लाईवुड में है, पार्टिकल बोर्ड, एमडीएफ और ब्लॉक बोर्ड वगैरह, वो इस ओर कृपया ध्यान दें। हमारे यमुनानगर में एक गवर्नमेंट की एक लैब भी बनने वाली है, उसके अंदर फॉर्मलडिहाइड टेस्टिंग भी होगा, और मुझे उम्मीद है कि वो विद इन 1 ईयर उसकी मशीनरी वगैरह इंस्टॉल हो जाएगी और वो हाई क्लास मशीनरीज होंगी। और इसके अलावा भी एक सदर्न इंडिया और वेस्टर्न इंडिया, ईस्टर्न इंडिया में ऐसी लैब बन जाए और ये एमिशन के चैम्बर उसमें इंस्टॉल हो जाए, तो जनरल एक अवेयरनेस बढ़ेगी। और सेफ बोर्ड सर्टिफिकेशन अगर साथ में रहेगा प्रोडक्ट के, तो प्रोडक्ट की वैल्यू बढ़ेगी, हमारा स्वास्थ्य में भी बड़ा सुधार होगा और हम कमर्शियल भी हमारे लिए बहुत ज्यादा वायबल रहेगा। तो हम इस स्टैंडर्ड के अंदर E2, E3 और E1, E0 तो नॉर्मली एक ऐसी स्टेट है कि जिसमें कोई एमिशन नहीं होता या 0.01 ppm का होता है, और बाकी स्टेजेस के हिसाब से है, रैंक 3, 4, 5 एमिशन लिमिट्स के हिसाब से अगर हमारा प्रोडक्ट सर्टिफाई होता है तो ये हमारे लिए कमर्शियली भी वायबल रहेगा और ह्यूमन ग्राउंड के हिसाब से भी हमारी हेल्थ के लिए भी बहुत ज्यादा ठीक रहेगा। मुझे इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे अपने विचार रखने के लिए सेफ बोर्ड टीम के चेयरमैन और सभी जो एग्जीक्यूटिव्स हैं उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं, और लिसनर्स का भी जिन्होंने मुझे पेशेंटली सुना। धन्यवाद।
Thanks a lot, sir. It is actually our privilege to hear the whole, market potential and what could be the growth in the industry if we are trying to develop such standard in India. And we wanted to keep the focus. We all know that composite wood products need such certification, but where would these composite wood products be in turn needed are some of the popular industries. For example, what Bihani sir told us, that is wooden toys, where most of the urban population prefer wooden toys which are safe to be even put in mouth by the kids. And then of course cutleries, which we it is kind of an eatable thing. We don't eat them, but we always keep constantly putting them in our mouths. And of course handicraft are the very valued export item from India. And as Bihani sir said that it will just add in a minimal cost, it will add a lot of value to our Indian products. Moving ahead, the next topic I will cover is the most important topic to be communicated to most of the stakeholders, is that you all can drop in your out here is via the public consultation. The Safeboards standards version, zero draft version is out in the public domain at NCCF's website, and you all can contribute by building this standard, an international standard, by giving inputs which are at par to the international standards, or even if we have any concerns to any requirement that the Safeboards team has put into the standard, we are very, very eager to hear from you. Public consultation is a way for improvisation of the drafted standards before finalization, and it is at a zero draft. So when we receive comments from the major widespread population and audience out there who are not directly involved in composite wood product, but even then they have some concerns, they can drop in their views. And only after hearing everybody out for 60 days, the public consultation started on February 5th, and it will last till April 6th. You can drop in your comments on the NCCF website. I will show you how you can do that. It will help. It will turn out as a tool for information dissemination. Anyone can go through the zero draft standards carefully, and if they find something that can be amended, and if they wish to improvise a certain part with their advice and comments, they are most welcome. Public involvement at this stage can make it successful and reach to the public at large. This is how you can involve in the public consultation process. NCCF, you need to log into the NCCF website. The finalized zero draft standards is uploaded at ongoing consultation banner in the NCCF webpage, and then you can go through the instructions which are laid down over there. This is the instruction. There are few attachments in the banner of the ongoing consultation. That is, you have to click in for the Safeboards standards, and you can go to the instruction sheet, read the instruction sheet. There is a comment sheet. You can download it, put your comments section wise, and you can send it us at safeboards@nccf.in. So we would request all to drop in your comments, all our audience. That is it from my side. I would request Goel sir to give some information on how Safeboards standards, where has it reached, and what are its upcoming activities which will finally the standard. Goel sir.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Niti, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. As already told by Niti, these our draft standards are available on website of NCCF for comments. And in the meantime, a few more activities we are doing parallelly, like this webinar, and we are requesting through this webinar also to please share your comments so that we improve the standards. And And we are also identifying the sites for pilot testing and licensing with the industries. So very soon we'll be floating a UI for the stakeholders to participate in the pilot testing program. So these are the two activities which we have kept for this month. And in the next month, once we receive the comments from the public as well as all the stakeholders for improvements in the standards, we will hold the next meeting, third meeting of the technical working group for finalizing the draft of those standards, and then it will be further approved by the standard development group. That will be put up to standard development group, which is the final authority for approving those standards. And with the results of pilot testing and report writing will be done for the final version of the standard, that is version 5. And in the month of May, once we have the test report of the pilot testing and final draft, again this will go to the technical working group in the month of May, as well as simultaneously we'll be preparing other two documents, that is trademark and accreditation standards, which will also be put up to the technical working group, and those will be approved. Finally, those will be again put up to the last meeting, that is fourth meeting of the standard working group, maybe sometime during the month of May. And once those are approved, that will be the final approval of those standards, and which will be ready for launch. So maybe in next 2.5 months, we propose to finalize and launch these standards. Thank you. I think Niti, we go for question and answers if some time is there.
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Okay. So we have some questions in the chat box or not?
I can't see that. Aditya, do you see any questions in the chat box?
No, ma'am.
If there are no questions, you can make a request if some questions are there, all right. Yeah. Otherwise, they can always send their questions in the meantime, and then we'll be closing this after final words from DG and CCA.
Yeah.
So, any questions from the participants, please?
I think the participants can send you questions by mail, and you can send it to different people.
Yes.
Because it's not that easy a subject for many people.
Right. I
don't
think
realize they're breathing a bad air, or what makes a board. So in fact, in your website, what makes a board is something which is going to be very important. And I think by Mr. Malpani and the other gentlemen, I think their presentations are very comprehensive, and it explains, I think that should be there for everybody to just see it and get to know.
Okay. Then in that case, may I request Mr. Srivastava, DG and CCF, to please give his closing remarks. Please unmute yourself. Mr. Srivastava, we can't hear you. Please unmute yourself. Still can't hear you. Not able to hear you. Oh. No. Mr. Srivastava, still not able to hear you.
Yeah, I was muted from other side.
Okay.
Finally, I do not know what was the reason for muting me. So anyway, it might be coincidence or mistake. So thank you. We had a very good discussion today. Mr. A.K. Goyal, Chairperson, SDG, Safeboards, Mr. J.K. Bihani, President, Haryana Plywood Manufacturing Association, Mr. B.K. Nath, an expert on this subject, Ms. Chitra Bishnath, Principal Architect and Managing Director, Biome Environmental Solutions, Mr. Harish Malwani, representing Haryana Plywood Manufacturing Association, Dr. Purnima Prabhakaran, Deputy Director, Public Health Foundation of India, Center for Environmental Health, Ms. Neeti Verma, Technical Expert, the Safeboards team, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are attending this webinar, including my own colleagues from NCCF, GIPL, and SARAI board. Thank you all for this great deliberations we had this afternoon on an important issue, that is finding indigenous solutions to formaldehyde emissions from the composite wood products through NCCF's Safeboards standards scheme. We had excellent discussion on a range of subjects like uses of formaldehyde and its related concerns over prolonged exposure in the closed environment and its effect on human health, including leading to cancers, etc. Benefits of certified composite wood products for ensuring quality and safety. Green Buildings Initiative to apply green concepts and reduce measurable environmental impacts. Wonderful presentation in this regard was made by Ms. Chitra Bishnath ji. Then popular industries benefiting from certification like toys, cutleries made of wood, export, oriented handicrafts, etc. Very well highlighted by Bihani sir. So there are escalating health concerns arising from formaldehyde emissions, as it is very clear from the presentations made by distinguished panelists. And use of resins, adhesives in the manufacturing of composite wood is responsible for persistent emission of formaldehyde and other volatile organic compounds from the composite boards. The emissions beyond threshold limits pollute indoor air quality, which has direct impacts on the human health. And recent lifestyle has limited our outdoor and human activities and enhanced indoor activities many folds, creating more problems for us. So various developed nations have framed certain regulations which emphasize on the need to regulate the emissions from these products within the threshold limits set by the respective countries, making it less harmful to human beings. You have seen the regulations made by USA, the CARB, EPA, TSCA, CFR Part 770 in USA, then regulations in USA, Japan, New Zealand. There are many regulations which have been presented in the technical presentation. So ours is a unique scheme which would be enforced in the voluntary sector, and composite wood industries, composite wood boards and other products being used by various industries, buildings and furniture, toys, etc. They would get benefited out of this scheme. The Bureau of Indian Standards, they are also engaged in a similar task of developing standards to regulate emissions of formaldehyde and other volatile gases. And our scheme would be slightly different from BIS standard to the because this will incorporate many aspects, just more than technical regulations. So our regulations intend to promote safe products in compliance with internationally benchmarked guidelines, leading to Indian manufacturers facing challenges to export composite boards manufactured here and their acceptance in the first world countries. I am happy to see many presentations, and all these presentations are very useful. And as already informed, our public consultation of the Safeboards standards is on, and this webinar is a part of the process of public consultation, and I am sure those who are attending this this webinar will be in a better position to provide their feedback to the draft standards. In this context, NCCF is developing the indigenous solutions to formaldehyde emissions through this Safeboards scheme. And this is an important initiative in India. And this will certainly help in regulating the harmful emissions from composite wood products and bring the wood products to international value added markets. It would be of great support in process driving and product development of concerned industries, cutting down formaldehyde emissions for betterment of human health and overall environment. So as suggested by the distinguished panelists, we shall try to put the presentations on website. Ms. Niti, would it be all right to share the presentations to Ms. Pratibha, all presentations, so that along with the press release for this Safeboards webinar, we also post the presentations on the website. So anybody who wants to use the presentations, it should be readily available to them. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that will be ideal arrangement. Earlier also we had several webinars organized, and we tried to keep all presentations along with the press release on our website. So if you see the press release, and then below that you will find the presentations which can be simply clicked and accessed. So we shall try our best to send the press release to website maybe by tomorrow. And if you share the presentations to Ms. Pratibha, I think she will be able to get it hosted on the website. So I would like to thank and place my deep appreciation to the esteemed experts and panelists for your insights on various aspects of formaldehyde emissions, its impact on human health and environment, and how Safeboards scheme may help in resolving this situation. I am grateful to all of you for your excellent presentations and congratulate you for successful conclusion of the webinar and a clear way forward that has been arrived at. And I hope that NCCF, through its certification standard, will continue working towards making production and usage of composite boards safe, reliable, and internationally benchmarked within India and outside India, particularly in the developed countries. A lot of effort has gone into the system in organizing for this webinar under the overall guidance and control of Mr. A.K. Goyal, Chairperson SDG. Ms. Niti Verma is an expert on this subject, and she knows the job very well, and she has planned it very meticulously. And my compliments go to her team, comprising Ms. Karishma, Mr. Adit Burman, and from NCCF side also, Ms. Pratibha, Mr. Balvinder, Mr. Praveen, and Ria. They have worked hard to provide logistics for this webinar. So I think this webinar has by and large met its objectives, and distinguished participants are welcome to send their questions, queries to the Safeboards team, and I am sure they will do justice in providing answers to all the queries on time. So with these words, I once again thank all of you for your participation and contribution to the success of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. So, can we close this?
Yes.
So everybody is busy with their schedule. Thank you so much for joining approximately 2 hours and sending us your required support whenever needed. Thank you. See you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.